Hi, everybody. My name is Angus Wright, and I also go by Angus by Design. And I just completed the refresher course on being an advanced level facilitator for the Wellness Recovery Action Plan. And a new mantra that I have is that I am an advocate for human potential. And if you want to learn more about what Advocates for Human Potential is doing in order to bring the word and bring the wisdom and knowledge and the life work of Mary Ellen Copeland to the current status and future of rap, please don't hesitate to reach out and I'll put you in touch because I'm quite proud to have accomplished this moment. And so what I'm looking to do right now is to provide a concise, comprehensive overview of key concepts and WRAP, Wellness Recovery Action Plan. And what I want to try to do is to highlight the strengths and the opportunities that we may experience if we stay engaged with RAP. So the first is to talk about the experiential origins and context of the 5 key concepts of RAP. And that really goes back to 1997 when Mary Ellen Copeland was a big part of a conference in the state of Vermont and northern Vermont, where a whole community had gathered to go over the results of her work leading up to that point, in talking about her own life story of getting well and staying well. And so the 5 key concepts came of that conference and the feedback of the participants. And so those concepts, the first one was talking about hope. And then also just this concept that there are no limits to recovery. Anybody and everybody can recover in a meaningful way. And that hope as a concept was really important to us. But it's also important to recognize that sometimes we can lose hope, or some people like me, we can't see hope sometimes, and we just need to remember that it exists. And so I have tools that I use to overcome that. But I also have a daily practice of cultivating hope, and that's by providing it for others in a meaningful way. And so the next one is personal responsibility. And, as a concept, it was really talking about what is within our power, or what is within my power to control or to be responsible for, but also recognizing what isn't. And I love when that rolls in because often when I lose hope, it's relating to a connection that I'm either not making, am making, or have the potential to have to make as a result of the things that I've experienced, right? And so personal responsibility is allowing me to set boundaries, and there's some real opportunities for reflection, especially in the context of creating plans. The next one is education. And, when we look at things and we look at the broader experiences of everyone, education is really unique to uh, our own experience, and education can mean different things to different people. But for me, the strengths in reflecting on it as a key concept in my life is that I get to really look at how I can understand myself through the language of professionals or people that have provided me feedback that kind of keeps coming up as a barrier for me. And so educating myself and being able to learn what the judgments of others has meant thus far is a big part in me really being able to center focus and to learn tools for myself in order to self-advocate, right? And speaking of which, that's the next key. Self-advocacy. RAP is self-determined. It's talking about speaking up and speaking out for yourself. And it's talking about just the idea that everybody has the right? The right to remain silent, the right to speak out, the right to, create and have ideas and to live in their own realities. I love developing my personal Bill of Rights, right? I can think of it as my assertive Bill of Rights, my patient Bill of Rights, my membership Bill of Rights, all of those things. There are many, many tools in which we can reflect on to see what our choices and our options are, not based on maybe the opinions of others, but actually based on, the truth, our truth. And so that's big. And then that actually leads into, well, what happens when we can't support ourselves, right? So reflecting on understanding what support means and then applying it in a mutual way, right? So creating ways in order to communicate when we may be not communicating in a way that works for us or that is accessible to us sometimes. So being able to have supporters, and we really, encourage folks to develop like 5 supporters, 5, 6 supporters, and just thinking of the specific ways, right? The opportunities to find ways in which we can get our needs met and not in a way that might overwhelm others, keeping in mind that when we're kind of wanting to do what's best for each other, there's a lot of pressure there, right? So the more that we can communicate our needs and wants at times when we're well, that's what leads to further success. And to me, in being able to journal and document and create these plans, well, that's actually where I find peace in the present. Okay. So now I want to just really emphasize that RAP is voluntary. You, if you're looking to force anybody to do anything, or if you tell someone to do something and they're not prepared, well, how is that helpful? If our goal is to help others and to help ourselves, why engage in that way, right? So the beauty behind RAP, and this is honestly, again, this isn't reinventing the wheel. These are folks who built this work up. This is co-signed by many, many people all over the world for decades now, that basically we need to remain voluntary. The reason for that in my life, right, the strengths and the opportunities that show up for me is that I get to see in my own words, in my own way, in ways that are meaningful uniquely to me, and that really uphold my right to dignity and respect for myself, right? That is where having the voluntary nature and having people who have shown me the way has really supported myself in getting stronger and staying stronger. And I've had some incredible, incredible mentors. Um, so what we want to do then is we want to look at wellness tools. And these are really safe, simple resources that help us to stay well, and as well as those that might help us to feel better when we're not feeling well. And for me, wellness tools, like they can be for my mind, they can be for my body, and they can be for my sense of self, my spirit, my higher self, right? And there are different tools that I can use, both tangible and intangible, both physical and auditory. Um, just there are so many that I have at my fingertips, and I've been developing these tools since like 2019. And so that's, for me, that's been an integral piece. And then I look at having a wellness toolbox. So again, it's like, what is a wellness toolbox? Well, it's just a place that contains all of these tools, right? So I'm always thinking about what's plan A, B, and C, and how do I utilize the tools that are on hand? I don't have to believe that, there's nothing that can help me. I can actually see, like, I'm like MacGruber, right? Like I can, or MacGyver, right? Like I can just really come up with the solution, but I want those solutions to be a benefit, not a harm to myself, right? And so then, I basically, want to talk about RAP in terms of identifying signs and creating plans to use these wellness tools. And again, this is a process. So that's why we always start out with looking at those 5 key concepts, right? And then rolling that into looking at all the tools we can sort of list based on that, right? Those strengths and opportunities. So then now we're kind of looking at, well, let's identify signs and create those plans for how we sort of achieve our best wellness and maintain our best wellness. So and then so it's kind of looking at, well, what am I like when I'm well? And in terms of validating like a reference point. So a vision of what's possible, and like really creating affirmations around hope, right? And potential. So like, cultivating a growth mind around that. And looking at like, and even if we're reflecting on a time, past, if we have to kind of do a deep dive back to a time when all was well, that's okay too, because that creates a goal. And with these other tools, we can create more of a sense of, well, what does wellness actually mean? And then are we breaking the chains that we've created ourselves, right? And so for me, having that idea of what wellness means for me has been pivotal. Um, and then looking at, okay, well, what's daily maintenance look like? So what, in terms of, the things that we might need to actually do every day. So for me, I need to wake up. I need to take care of my bodily needs, my like those functions, to kind of get that off the check mark of what I focus on. Then I need to come out, hug my dog, engage with my dog, be cutesy, make schmootsy pootsy, like murmur, like embarrassing stuff, right? But then kind of fun because it puts me in a playful spot, and he like turns into a strange little cuddle monster, right? And so that helps me. And then I have to brew coffee. And what coffee does for me is it activates my need to drink, and it activates my need to pee. And, I have all sorts of like little routines and structures into how I can kind of go through that cyclically to make sure that I'm staying hydrated. And then I have to, do things like brush my teeth, have a shower, play music, do mindfulness practice, and they're all determined by me, right? And then we might want to consider what those plans look like. So again, I attached the plan already. I get up, I go pee, I hug my dog, I brew coffee, I put on mindfulness cultivation, etc. And then I might have a might do list. So sometimes, that all of those things, while they might work on most days, they may not work on every day, right? So sometimes I might need to actually call my mom, call my auntie, call my friends, avoid my calls. Like I have to kind of reflect and have an idea about what I need when I need it. And so those plans come in really great. And that list is great. So for me, sometimes it's getting a pedicure, sometimes it's going out for brunch, Sometimes it's just reading a book or skipping a meeting, whatever it is, right? Self-care. And then we look at triggers. So triggers are those external events or circumstances which are usually upsetting. So now I want you to kind of stretch your imagination because yes, they're external events. So if we're thinking about writing our crisis plan and we're thinking about potential external events, well, we want to pin them to the potential internal events, right? So just much like the sound implies, it's like a pew pew. So pew, external trigger. Oh my goodness, this sounds like what up? Like it just, where's the dinosaur chasing me? Hello. And then it's pew, right? All the internal, like it's the ricochet that happens internally because of what we've experienced, right? And whether it be long-term gaslighting or whether it be uh, fast and quick, like dramatic moments in public with people who are just not on the wavelength. That's a big thing. So, not to do a deep dive, we don't need to necessarily conjure up all of the things again, right? It is hard, and we do somehow need to release our stories. But we can do that creatively, right? I have Trigger Morris. Trigger Morris is my little guy, my little inner comedian that just wants all that antagonistic energy to go to, right? Um, and then, but no, we need to have a trigger action plan. So when these things happen, what will we do? And if that doesn't work, what else will we do? And it's creating those simple if then plans, right? Looking at, and again, applying all of the key concepts, making sure that we're not trying to police anybody else's behavior or actions, that we're simply just, if it's not ours to shine a light on, it's not ours. And if we don't have the equipment or the attention span or the energy to address things, then we don't have to run in there, right? We get to make sure that our oxygen is so that's where we get to have and show that unconditional self high regard, right? That we're able to explore those things in a meaningful way that allows us to process them. And that's what we encourage as mentors and as peers. Um, and then we're looking at like when things are breaking down. So as a critical time, right, when we need to take immediate deliberate action to take charge of our wellness. And so for me, I know, okay, so early warning sign for me is that I might be like loosey goosey, like can't make a decision, like no, you decide, like no, you decide. Okay. But signs when things are breaking down is when I want that person to decide and they're still lobbying back, like, no, you decide. It's like, no, I I can't decide. Like I need food. I need like Hulk smash, like, help me, I'm breaking out. Like, I need to take immediate action. And that's where like, again, bacon, right? Bacon, eggs, and toast. Like, I know that I have meals and places, and I have like fast food. I have like the best worst case scenario, right? Uh, I have like the mini meal, which again, like helps me be a kid, right? And to be less rigid, but it also, dark, it's an action to actually get my recovery kicking into gear, right? Self-determined. If I and trust, people have opinions all the time. I say, I go for Happy Meal kind of deal, right? And then I get the little toy and I get an ice cream, and then I basically make weird eye contact with people because I have social anxiety, and it's weird that people watch me eat it, but they can't help but help. Like people are gonna watch me. I live downtown. So those are those things where I can be playful, and when I'm playful, I'm not stressed. And when I'm not stressed, the sky isn't falling, right? So these are the things that we're able to kind of tell ourselves, and that's why we make those things. So and then those action plans. So again, yeah. And then having a service dog, I have a service animal and he's really sweet. So sometimes he's ready to go full Disney and like, hug and smooch and kiss everybody. And sometimes he's a neurotic little fella that I have to talk off the emotional ledge because he's like over peopled or he's over dogged or he's overstimulated. So that's the joy of being a reactive household. uh, and then we're gonna look. So again, it's self-reflecting, right, on what those signs look like for us, and then attaching the meaning to us in the framework of the evidence. Um, and then okay, so then when things are breaking down, action plan, looking at strengths and opportunities, and those are bringing down like, and we're narrowing those choices. So like maybe we did all that stuff in our daily maintenance plan and then our early warning sign plan, but we have to narrow it down more for that Hulk smash moment that I was talking about. And then crisis plan. So these are documents now where we're taking all of our reflections on the journey of which we've come, and we are now starting to apply it to the outside world. And this is why we were looking and reflecting on those supports, right? And the supporters and who they can be. And sometimes it's not family, sometimes it's not friends, sometimes it's an advocate, sometimes it's a doctor, lawyer, like look towards the village people, not the actual musicians, because they may be like not into it or maybe not, properly rap trained yet. Um, but look towards people in your community that can help you advocate for the things that you need and look for the resources. Um, so these are documents that you're going to send out, and then crisis plans and these documents and having supporters who are going to do the advocating for us. These are really the ways in which we can remain in control and to make choices for ourselves based on our wants and needs and not based on a reaction or a response to somebody who maybe is trying to invoke that in us, right? So, as somebody who lives with uh, words and acronyms and diagnoses and circumstances, that are on the trauma spectrum, uh, we need to be able to be treated with unconditional high regard and have opportunities to treat others that way as well, because that really does support our recovery and it supports our wellness, whatever word feels right. Um, and then, basically it's like we may need to reflect on and readapt and revisit what it looks like when we're well, because, well, for me, I'm aging. So I'm a 48-year-old version of myself right now, but just 10 years ago, I was a 38-year-old version of myself. In 20 years, I was a 28-year-old version of myself. So in 10 years from now, I'm going to be 58. And 10 years after that, I'm going to be 68. So loving myself now means kind of looking at what is my future look like and how can I start now to make sure that, I remain healthy, and what are the factors that I can educate myself about to make sure that as things change, I can still change, right? So that's that. And then so we're looking at adapting, what we're like when we're well, and we're refreshing those folks, right? So then we want to look at behaviors and signs that would indicate to others that they need to activate the plan that we're giving them. And, it really is a document that's really noting our great thoughts and the time and discussions with our supporters needed to decide, what to put into place for this. So having real understanding of, if you're kinky, having safe words, or you know what I mean? It's just that concept of like, not to, I'm a pop culture person, but it's like that start the car kind of energy of like, I gotta get out of here and you can support me by. So anyway, so and again, it's like secret code, right? Like if I wink twice, or like bark twice if you're still in Milwaukee, right? Like that sort of thing. And then we're looking at again the supporters in terms of the numbers that we have, starting where we are, and the qualities that we want to look for. And then we want to, basically we want our list of supporters and who aren't supporters to inform our lists of like who we want and who we don't want to be involved in our care, right? If we have people in our lives that are creating harm, then we have the right to uphold that. And then this is really to try to help mitigate that. And then, again, we need to kind of explore, or we have an opportunity anyway, to explore what medications look like for ourselves. And that includes medications that may work and that we're open to, or wondering more about. And it may also, and especially also, can also include things we don't want or have tried, or that go against our values and our personal ethics and our rights, right? Like everybody has the right to autonomy and personal autonomy. And personal autonomy starts here, right? So, and again, we're looking at these things without judgment. So even within the context of our own personal judgment, because we're kind of on this journey, we've explored the key concepts and such. It's really about like, okay, where are we at? And some people have issues with providers in the past, but that's again where educating ourselves on tools and what we can empower ourselves with, it goes a long way. And then we want to talk about treatments. So in terms of personal preferences and acceptability and unacceptability, we want to address like alternatives and complementary therapies with example. And this is really where we can look at, maybe we've had an experience at a certain hospital or a certain clinic or a certain organization, and that just the idea of being in that environment is going to feel like it invades everything we're about, right? So we do have the right to request to go in certain places or to have certain things happen in order to mitigate, us returning to a state of wellness. Mental health, distress, crisis, like these are universal experiences, even though we do sometimes have mitigating factors, right? So we have the right to get those supports where it's needed. And then we also want to look at the help from others. So in terms of, what we've learned is helpful in difficult times. So those things on our wellness toolbox list, or our, um, the daily maintenance, and then looking at, what's gonna not be helpful during those times, because again, we're looking at trying to rebound and trying to come back into a balance. And then now we're talking about help from others. So the things that we need to have done for us, and the things that people may need to do for us. And it's not, looking at like, I want you to clean my house or pay my bill. Like it's nothing like that. It might be little things like, please, make my bed, because when I get home, it will help me. I like feeling like, you know, or maybe it is, if there's a mess, please clean it up, or please have somebody come in to clean it. Being able to know in advance that you're not going back into a situation, right? that may not be possible, and that's okay too. So these are things that if we can sort of look at it during a place of wellness, then we can, plan ahead for it, right? We're really talking about advanced directives here. And so we're also talking about what it looks like post-crisis and in activating the plans that we've put into place in terms of indicators to let others know that they don't have to follow the plan anymore. That's really where I got to learn my strengths and opportunities in terms of being able to be vulnerable and to communicate with people that enough's enough. And then I'm ready to just, take a little space, do a little thing. And over time people know, they just know. I don't even have to say it because we've practiced it enough. So it's a great roadmap because when I'm not feeling well, I have a copy of it. I have a tangible plan, right? I have it all figured out. And then really we're talking about, again, the opportunity to look at advanced directives. And these are the foundations and crisis plans. They have an opportunity to be converted to and created and to help structure what legally binding documents. It's really important to just highlight that differs from region to region. So again, it's about, this is a framework for kind of starting that exploration, and there's tools and resources and people and communities available to help guide that way. So if there's a need for an advanced directive, or where I am, where it's called a personal attorney for care, these are things that you can start to explore and ask for. And so I really just want to stress the importance of reaching agreement with your supporters about the plan and its implementation. So sharing copies of the crisis plan with them and keeping the plan current are all ways that really just keeps us closer to a goal, beating the odds, right? Like making sure that we're doing everything we can under the circumstances and to the best of our ability. And then again, the post-crisis plan in terms of that transitional time when we're getting over a hard time and working towards feeling well, we want to make notes that it can be done in advance, and these are things that can be addressed to help us to get better as well, right? And the benefit of using a timeline for resuming our responsibilities to ease back into our usual routine, for me, providing that timeline just really is the first step to providing me with a goal. So, having flexibility, checking in with myself, being present to see where my recovery is, utilizing all my skills and tools, but also, making sure that I'm inner parenting my inner child, right? Or children. And so that's me. I'm Angus. This has been my overview of the Wellness Recovery Action Plan, and just really highlighting uh, the evidence-based practice, right? And that's the study to mental health. So yeah, as developed by Mary Ellen Copeland PhD and community in 1997. So thank you very much and be well.